there. So I'm Miss Thomas, and I just figured out that apparently I am a booktuber. I started a YouTube channel called Book Talks with Miss Thomas about 2 months ago, and I've posted 15 videos so far about books that I've read and books that I've enjoyed. I think maybe there were 2 videos about books that I didn't especially recommend or enjoy, so mostly books that I've read and enjoyed. Yesterday, it dawned on me that there's a thing called booktubing. I found it on the internet, and there's a whole community of booktubers. And I thought, okay, so maybe I'm already a booktuber, I don't know. But if I'm not, I'd like to look into it and be a booktuber. So I found this list of questions. I printed it out, and there are questions, BookTube Newbie tag questions. So I'm going to go ahead and answer them. I don't think I'm going to go question by question by question. I would prefer just to talk about myself and then look over the questions and make sure I've addressed most of them. But the first question asks, why did you become a booktuber? And the answer is that, with this current pandemic and with COVID, which we're finally getting past, thank heavens, but, when COVID hit, we all had to sort of figure out a new normal. And I had to create a workspace for myself, which I did. This is my workspace at home. And I, really had to adjust and learn how to do a whole new way of life and new way of teaching. And I told my students, this is a new thing for us, a new normal. So I challenged them to find ways to put themselves out there, to keep life interesting, to engage with other people, even from home when they can't go out and engage with people face to face. And some of them I love my students, and they just inspired me. They just did so many really cool, wonderful, powerful things that I was just so impressed. And I thought, you know what? I shouldn't be sitting back saying, you do this, I should do it too. I wanted to put myself out there. And I thought, well, there's something I can do. I can talk about books. I love books. I love to talk about books. And I feel so passionately that people can enjoy reading, and they should enjoy reading. And even if people think, well, I'm not a reader, then I want them to know there are good books out there. And so that's why I started this YouTube channel. I started it for my students, because of my students, because they inspired me with all the things they were doing, and I thought, I can do it too. And I don't want to tell them, you should read, reading is good for you, and then stop there. I want them to know, I read. I want them to read because I read, and I want them to see the value in reading, and I can only do that by showing them that, I value reading, and this is what I'm reading. And maybe they won't enjoy the books that I'm reading, but they'll see that I'm reading and that I'm willing to talk about what I'm reading and put myself out there. And I have found that my students have responded to that. They've enjoyed that. And I even have one student who put her video on my channel with parent permission, because they were, we inspire each other. And that's really the best we can hope for, especially during such stressful times. Okay, the next question, what are some fun and unique things you can bring? Just myself. I don't know that I'm all that fun or unique, but I do want to share what I'm reading and what I enjoy. And, people seem to enjoy some of my videos. So I don't really know. I don't have a great answer for number 2. Number 3, what are you most excited about for this channel? I'm just excited about sharing my love for reading. And number 4, why do you love reading? So let me tell you that one, because that's one that I feel the most passionately about. And those of you who know me, you've had to listen to this already, I apologize, but I had severe dyslexia as a child, and I felt, it's not a popular word, but I felt dumb. I felt small and unimportant, and didn't really feel good about myself. And, I was afraid to speak up. I didn't want to be called on to read. And I just remember thinking, they know how to do this. I don't. I'm not as smart as they are. And I really worked hard to overcome that. And my mother, she passed away 2 years ago, but she used to really get behind that and support me. And I remember she would take me to Crown Books and let me pick out any book I wanted. And I remember when I was 6, she would bring home the golden books with the golden spines. And I remember thinking that was just the coolest thing in the whole world and such a great gift to get. And when I had to make my workspace for COVID, I made this sign and I put I like to have a cover over my clipboard because sometimes I have confidential things on my clipboard anyway, so I always have a cover. But for my office space, I put this cover. I typed up what my mother used to say to me all the time. She used to say, as long as you have a book, you have a friend. And I want everybody to have a friend. And I definitely... I had so many friends, with the golden books and all the different books that I've read. I never felt alone. So learning how to read was something that I remember doing, and it was something that was a very big challenge for me and something that was very difficult, but it was something also incredibly special to me. And I want to share that with other people. And I want other people to know that, not everybody is a born reader. Not everybody feels great about their reading ability, and I certainly didn't, but now I'm out there posting videos every week about what I'm reading. So if I can do it, anybody can do it. The next question is, what book or series got you into reading? Well, the series that I remember, my earliest memories of reading would obviously be Dr. Seuss. So I remember learning, oh, that's a rhyme. This rhymes with this. And so I could predict what I was about to read in the text. And I remember Green Eggs and Ham as a little child. And I remember... mostly Green Eggs and Ham. I liked that one, I think, the best. But I definitely went through the Dr. Seuss books. That's my first series of books. But then I will answer it with a more adult answer. By middle school, I devoured the S.E. Hinton books. I loved The Outsiders and Tex, and That Was Then and This Is Now. And I remember just being so inspired by S.E. Hinton, because when I learned that she was a teenage girl, you think S.E. Hinton and you read the books and you think this real tough old guy. And I thought, wow, if she can do something that cool, maybe one day I can too. And I really was. I was very inspired by S.E. Hinton, and I loved her books. Let's see. What questions would you ask your favorite booktubers? How would you select a book, I guess I would ask. What do you look for in a book? What kind of great ideas do you have for your books, your book talks? And am I, in fact, a booktuber? I'm really not clear on that. I found that yesterday, that there's this thing called booktubing, or there's booktubers. And I thought, okay, I guess I just make this tag to be a booktuber. I don't know. And then I started thinking, maybe I put it in the book description that this is a booktube. I don't know. So that's what I would ask if I could ask a booktuber a question. What challenges do you anticipate trying to overcome? Well, this one is possibly unique to me, but because I am making these videos for my students, I have trouble picking books that I think would be interesting to students and yet appropriate for their teacher to discuss with them. I mean, I have 2 grown boys, so I know that, people might be reading things that are not recommended by an adult. I've read many young adult books, and honestly, some of the things in some of the young adult books that I've read are like, there is no way I'm going to discuss this with my students and tell them, oh, you should read this book, because it's got some things in there that maybe the book was okay, maybe the book was enjoyable for a grown married woman, but I still don't think that I would recommend them. And that's not to say that I think teenagers never read, anything that's not completely academic, but it is to say, because I'm their teacher and I have to stand in front of them and teach, I don't feel comfortable recommending books that have certain things in them. And I'm not even going to start listing them because there are many that I have encountered in these young adult books that I've read, because I thought, okay, I know what I like to read, and my favorite author is Harlan Coben. I've started to like Jane Harper lately. I've been getting into that. But then I think, okay, so I'm okay for some reason recommending a book that may have some violence, because at least I feel like with Jane Harper and Harlan Coben, the violence is not the center of the book, and it's not being graphically described ad nauseum. It's just sort of mentioned because it's relevant to the plot. So that doesn't bother me so much. But then I started reading young adult books because I thought, well, let me pick some that my students might read, and let me know what they're reading. And I came across some things that I'm just not gonna promote just as a teacher. So that's an obstacle that I'm dealing with. How do I find good books that are good to read and engaging, but not kind of creepy for an adult to be recommending to a teenager. Okay, so when did I start reading? I think I sort of covered that. I don't remember the exact age, but I remember learning to read, and I remember being challenged by that. Where do you read? I have a couch upstairs, and there's this big window, and all the light comes in, and the cats usually see me and they curl up nearby, and I like to read there. That's my favorite place to read. But I also like to read by the pool and by the ocean and pretty much anywhere. So I'll tell you a funny story. And I remember too, it was The Other Westmore I was reading. I was at the beach and I was reading The Other Westmore, and I had my toes in the ocean. I have one of those chairs kind of low to the ground, so the waves come up and they get your toes. And that's my favorite thing, is to just be at the edge, like at the breaker zone, with my toes in the ocean and a book on a hot day. And my husband said to me, "You shouldn't do that. I think a wave is going to come and it's going to ruin your book." And I said, no, I'm fine. I'm really enjoying myself, and I have to have the feel of the ocean while I'm reading. And he said, "I think you're going to read." Oh, shoo! This wave came and it ruined my book. And that was the end of The Other Westmore. So I went out and got another one so that I could finish the book. But I just think that's a funny story about where I like to read. And what does your book collection look like? I don't really have a book collection because I tend to give books away as soon as I finish them. And I don't know. Sometimes I'll go to Goodwill and I'll see like, oh, this is a really good book. This is a really good book. And I'll buy them because, it's Goodwill and they're not expensive. But even then, I end up giving them away. So some books that I will not part with. My favorite book, which I did a book talk on, was The 5 People You Meet in Heaven. And then I'll close with this story. One of my favorite stories about a book. My mom, shortly after she died, my husband gave me The Next 5 People You Meet in Heaven as a Mother's Day gift. And I, was grieving my mom and being a reading person, and my mom really helped me with my dyslexia and encouraged me to read. So he gives me this book and I just burst into tears, and he's like, "Oh no, what did I do? Why is she crying? That's not what I meant to do." And it was just such a moving, wonderful gift. It was the best gift I may have ever received in my life. This gift of a book, and it was about the next 5 people you meet in heaven. And he remembered my favorite book, and he remembered, my love of reading and how that's connected to my mom, and gave me that book for Mother's Day. And I will say, having read the book, I haven't done a book talk on that one yet, but the girl in the book, she's just always so self-deprecating. She's always, "Oh, she screwed up again. Here I am. I'm such a screw up." And I've felt that way for so much of my life, struggling to read, struggling to be good in school. I'm somebody who chews on my foot quite a lot. So, oh, shoot, I said something and I made somebody mad. There I go again, and so I could really identify with that character, and that also just adds to the beauty of that particular gift. And so that's probably the only book, aside from my Bible, that I would not part with. So I think that's it. I think I've covered all of the questions, and I thank you for sitting through my video, and I look forward to getting to know you, and I look forward to my adventure as a booktuber.